Hello everyone, and welcome to the Frank Tufano News Channel, your exclusive source for all news Frank Tufano. And we have a breaking story for you today. We're going to go live to our reporter in the field, Ollie. Ollie, why don't you tell us what's going on down there?
Yes, thank you, Richard. What just happened here is truly remarkable. Just moments ago, here in New York, Frank Tufano said the dumbest thing ever uttered by a human being. And luckily, our camera crew were able to capture this truly historic event. Here is a clip for all of you watching at home.
I received a direct message on Instagram from a vegan, nevertheless, who noticed that John Venus, who's a vegan bodybuilder, had posted an Instagram story with what appears to be a carton of eggs in his refrigerator. This vegan, as you can imagine, was pretty upset, claiming that he doesn't like liars, not too happy about the situation if he reached out to me, a carnivore meat-based dieter who criticizes vegans on a regular basis. Now, this may or may not be a carton of eggs, but I am convinced that John Venus, as well as other vegan bodybuilders, are lying and misleading their viewers.
Alright, so Frank Tufano is suggesting that the supposed vegan bodybuilder John Venus isn't actually vegan, and Frank is assuming this because he's come across this video clip where John was opening up his refrigerator and you can see a couple cartons of eggs in his refrigerator. Well, Frank, there are two possibilities here. On the one hand, it's possible that John is a fake vegan and he's been eating eggs behind everyone's back. Or, the much more likely scenario is that John happens to live with someone who isn't vegan and they share a refrigerator. And it just so happens the latter is true. John Venus lives with his wife's parents, and his wife's parents aren't vegan, and they share a refrigerator. And it's not like this is private information. It's not like I'm the only one who knows this because I was friends with John. No, John has actually posted about this on his YouTube channel. He's made vlogs about this, how he's living with his wife's parents. So you could have just easily learned this by just doing a quick little Google search, but no, you didn't, because you don't care about the truth, you don't do any research for any of your videos, you are willing to spread lies and false information as long as it suits your bias. And this shouldn't come as news to everyone. Frank has admitted in the past to never doing research for any of his videos or any of his debates.
Well, no, Vegan Gains is okay with calling me out for a debate because he knows I won't do any preparation whatsoever. He knows I'll just come into the debate and just bullshit the whole time, so. I mean, I don't sit at my desk all day compiling up anti-carnivore notes or debate bullshit.
So Frank himself admits that he does absolutely no research for any of his videos, and as I've just demonstrated, he is perfectly willing to spread lies and false information as long as it supports his anti-vegan agenda. And I think you know where this is going. A little while ago, Frank uploaded this video where he called out vegan bodybuilders, calling vegan bodybuilding a sham. And of course, he did no research here. All he did was make up lies, false information, and accusations against vegan bodybuilders. So we're going to go through Frank's video and in typical fashion rebut each of his claims point by point.
It's just like everyone else in the fitness industry. You have an elite group of people at the top giving everyone else advice, who they're all looking up to, and this person clearly looks better and must be doing something differently than everyone else, yet none of them seem to have any sort of special knowledge that makes them stick out from the rest. It's a very cookie-cutter philosophy and approach. Eat plenty of calories, lift weights, be consistent, and you will get muscular. But that is far from the truth.
Alright, Frank, so I think you just answered your own question here. The reason these vegan bodybuilders are bigger and stronger than you, like John Venus, is because they follow that basic protocol. They eat plenty of calories, they lift heavy weights, and they train consistently, and they get big and strong. You, on the other hand, you look like an emaciated child, and you eat very little food. You've admitted to eating only one meal per day, and you lift very light weights. You've even admitted that you avoid lifting heavy weights.
But me being in the gym every day this week, requires me to eat more meals. So instead of my normal 1 meal per day, I've been eating 2 large meals per day.
But doing heavy weight is not conducive to optimal muscle recruitment from a hypertrophy standpoint. I will do a chest press or even a barbell bench press, but it's usually with a very light amount of weight. You know, typically on the barbell bench press, maybe 65 or 85 pounds.
Frank, you are a very special boy. He's actually wondering why people who eat more food than him and lift heavier weights than him are bigger and stronger than he is. Frank, your diet and your training are so terrible that vegan girls on YouTube are outlifting you. Naturally, Stephanie actually lifts more weight than you do. She's stronger than you are because she eats food and she actually trains hard. So, yeah, this mystery is solved, Frank. These vegan bodybuilders are bigger and stronger than you because they eat better than you and train harder than you.
You have people like Nimai Delgado, for instance.
What's going on, everyone? John Venus here. I am joined with a friend today, Nimai, and he is actually a pro physique competitor. Tell him a little bit about yourself, man.
My name is Nimai Delgado, aka the Hardcore Herbivore. I was raised on a vegetarian diet since birth. A couple years ago, I decided to convert to an all plant-based diet, and at that same time, I decided to compete in competitive bodybuilding.
Next to John Venus, another vegan bodybuilder, there is a clear difference in the level of muscular development. It's unlikely that this body is achievable without steroids in general, let alone as a natural vegan. Every single person is using performance-enhancing drugs in these physique competitions. They do have natural physique competitions. In fact, I did one myself back in 2015. And when you look at the pictures in these natural physique competitions and compare them to the open men's physique, becomes very obvious.
So it's pretty obvious that this is all coming from a place of jealousy. Frank is jealous that Nimai Delgado is a better bodybuilder than him. Well, Frank, maybe if you lifted heavy weights, maybe if you ate a little more like Nimai, maybe you'd grow a bit more muscle, but you're not really willing to do that. Now, I do agree with Frank to some extent. Most people who do professional bodybuilding, including men's physique, most of them are on steroids, but there are people who are just genetic freaks. Ronnie Coleman became a professional bodybuilder without taking any steroids. He did that naturally. He only took steroids later on in his career. Nimai just might be genetically gifted, you don't know. And look, Frank, whether he's on steroids or not, guess what? He's vegan, he built muscle, he's bigger and stronger than you. All the people that he competes against, they're also on steroids, so there's a pretty level playing field, and Nimai has done pretty well for himself. He's beating steroid-taking meat eaters, so on that playing field, veganism hasn't hindered his performance. So this argument that vegans can't build muscle, you're not actually providing evidence for that. All you've done so far is accuse John Venus of eating eggs and Nimai Delgado of taking steroids. Where is the actual evidence that vegans can't build muscle, Frank?
Nimai mentioned that plants are nutrient dense and therefore help the body's metabolism on a cellular level. But if he actually had an understanding of nutrient metabolism, he wouldn't be a vegan because of the lack of bioavailability and absence of nutrition in plant-based foods.
Okay, Frank, I could get into nutrition science right now, but I really don't need to. Here's you next to Nimai Delgado. Now, tell me who's getting more nutrition, Frank. Case closed.
Claiming that meat is tough to process and it sits in your gut for a long period of time is actually an explanation that your body is taking more time to absorb the nutrition from animal foods, the vitamins, the minerals, elements, and fatty acids your body needs.
All right, so Frank is claiming that meat is a better source of nutrition because it's easier on your digestion, it's more easily absorbed. Well, Frank has been trying to make gains recently. I shared the clip earlier where he admitted he's been going to the gym more, he's been having to eat more. Well, Frank also admitted that after eating more food, more meat, he started having really severe stomach problems to the point where he ended up becoming violently ill and couldn't hold his food down. He started vomiting.
So on Thursday night, I ate about a pound and a half of ground beef because I'm just craving protein all day when I work out. Around 9:30 a.m., I got really nauseous, and for the first time in my life, projectile vomited all over the place. Just this really foul mixture of ground beef and these oils. And I also started using the toilet. This gave me a reality check on why I stopped lifting weights in the first place, partially because of the food volume. It is not conducive to health. If I can't eat a larger amount of food comfortably, obviously I'm not going to get the results I want to. You know, I had to skip the gym yesterday as well, of course. And again, guys, the overarching problem here is I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to keep up the food volume, and if I'm not sleeping, you know, what's the point of putting myself through this torture?
So Frank is claiming that vegan bodybuilding puts you at a huge disadvantage because it's terrible for your digestion, you can't absorb all the nutrients, but when he tries bodybuilding on a carnivore diet, he has to eat more food, eat more meat, and then he gets violently ill, starts throwing up, has to be on the toilet, can barely sleep, has heart palpitations, and constantly complains about the food volume making him sick. He literally cannot put down enough food to put on any muscle. So, Frank, I think you're a bit wrong here. I'm pretty sure the meat isn't doing wonders for your digestion. I think Nimai has a good game plan here, where all the high-fiber plant foods he's eating seems to be a bit better for his digestion. He seems to be absorbing nutrients a little better than you are. Don't think he's having issues with projectile vomit and diarrhea.
Let's take a look at some other popular vegan YouTube bodybuilders. The first clip here is John Venus in March of 2015. He has a decent level of muscular development, obviously good genetics as well as frame for bodybuilding. When we see him in this next clip, 4 years later, in June of 2019, he doesn't seem to have made any considerable progress from a hypertrophy muscle gaining perspective.
So I think it's pretty obvious what Frank is doing here. He's just cherry picking unflattering shots of John to say, oh, see, he hasn't made much progress. Well, no, Frank, the shot you chose from 2015, he was indoors with harsh overhead lighting that has a lot of contrast. That will make him look a lot more bigger and leaner. And then for the more recent shot of John, you chose a shot where he was outdoors with very neutral, even lighting, where there's not much contrast, you can't really see a lot of his muscle definition, and some of his body is obstructed by what he's holding. So if you take a more recent workout video from John from 2019, you can tell he has made a pretty significant amount of progress. He's added some muscle, he looks more defined compared to 2015. And, yeah, this isn't a huge, amazing jump, but John was already a pretty advanced lifter a few years ago. You can't expect him to gain 10 pounds of muscle when he's already pretty close to his genetic limit. And again, Frank, I think the progress John is making is a lot better than the progress you've made. When you try to do bodybuilding and eat more food, you end up becoming violently ill, and then you just can't even work out. You can't even eat food because the food you're eating is so terrible for you. John has actually made progress. You haven't. When you actually try bodybuilding, you just get sick. So who's doing better, the vegan or the carnivore?
The same thing can be said about Simnett Nutrition. You know, here we have a clip of him from December of 2015. He looks good, you know, decent level of muscular development, pretty lean, and has been doing calisthenics for a while, bodyweight exercises. When we look at a clip from March of 2019, almost 4 years later, there seems to be no progress made in overall body mass.
Okay, so this time Frank made multiple lies. His first lie was that he claimed Derek from Simnett Nutrition is a bodybuilder. Well, he's not a bodybuilder, as Frank mentioned. He does calisthenics. So what's the point in claiming that, oh, Derek hasn't packed on any more muscle in the last few years when he's not trying to? He's just trying to get better at calisthenics. So that's a lie. And Frank also lied that Derek hasn't made any progress over the course of his training, when he has. Derek first started doing calisthenics as a vegan, and as you can see, when he first started, he was really skinny, didn't have much muscle mass, wasn't strong. And then after a year or two of training, he put on a ton of muscle, got a lot stronger, got really good at calisthenics. So he made progress. He grew muscle, got bigger and stronger as a vegan, despite not actually doing free weight training, just doing calisthenics. So, Frank, you're trying to trash talk a vegan, saying, oh, he hasn't really made any progress. Well, where's your progress, Frank? Derek is bigger and stronger than you. He can do all of this crazy calisthenics work, which you can't. And when you even try to work out, you start getting violently ill. You can't even eat the food you're trying to eat because it's just garbage. So you're pathetic. You're trying to trash talk vegan bodybuilders, saying they're making no progress when they've made more progress than you.
On to vegan gains. In December of 2014, Vegan Gains was fairly lean and had a beginner level of muscular development. When we take a look at November of 2018, about 4 years later, he is bloated, puffy, seems to have made little to no progress in lean body mass. I also watched a recent video of his where he bench pressed 300 pounds, but with 4 years of training, that's a fairly low amount, especially considering his body weight.
Alright, so now Frank is trying to take shots at me, and he's using the same dishonest tactics where he's cherry-picking unflattering images of myself and coming up with a whole bunch of other BS. So here's the video that Frank took that clip from, and as you can see, I'm about twice Frank's size here. So Frank is claiming that in this clip, I have a beginner level of physique and muscularity. Well, Frank, if you'd call that beginner level, then you've never even reached beginner level yourself. Compared to me, it looks like you've never even worked out before. It looks like you're a starving child. So again, you're trying to trash talk vegan bodybuilding. Oh, we can't make any gains, we can't make any progress. You're a joke. You've just admitted here that you know nothing about training, you know nothing about nutrition, you've never even reached a beginner level physique yourself, and you've always just been a skinny little twerp. So great going, Frank. And again, Frank just cherry-picked an unflattering image of myself in an attempt to show the lack of progress I've made. That clip that Frank showed is from over a year ago now. If you take a look at more recent training footage, I very clearly packed on a ton of muscle since I started my channel, and Frank also tried to claim that me getting my bench up to 315, oh, that's not so impressive. Frank, you've never benched anywhere close to 315. I think you'd struggle benching your body weight, and you don't even weigh much. Again, vegan girls on YouTube are lifting more than you, Frank. You are so weak and skinny that vegan girls can bench more than you can.
Once in a while, I will do a chest press or even a barbell bench press, but it's usually with a very light amount of weight. You know, typically on the barbell bench press, maybe 65 or 85 pounds.
So, like I said, naturally Stephanie, a vegan girl, is stronger than Frank. So Frank says he only ever benches as high as 85 pounds. Well, here's footage of naturally Stephanie benching 47.5 kilograms for 3 sets of 10, which is 105 pounds. So Frank can't even outlift a vegan girl on YouTube. And here you are criticizing vegan bodybuilders, saying, oh, a 315 bench isn't that impressive. Well, Frank, you're not that impressive. Every vegan fitness channel on YouTube is bigger and stronger than you, so... And we've made more progress as well. You can't even make progress. You literally get ill if you start training because you can't handle eating any more of your garbage food. So who are you to criticize us?
How then could gravity slow down light and make it fall back? This was impossible, according to the then accepted ideas of space and time.
Why the hell are we even listening to this dumb crap? You know this moron was wrong about black holes, right?
And last we have Brian Turner. Brian Turner was known for using steroids, and in April of 2014, he had a fairly high amount of muscle mass.
And of course, Frank is lying again. Brian has never taken steroids. He's been natural his whole life. He's not known in YouTube fitness as a fake natty. And Brian has also uploaded a video addressing some of these accusations. So, no, Frank, you're lying. You have no proof he's on steroids, just like how you don't have any proof that Nimai is on steroids. So, all you can do is just make up lies against these people you're jealous of because you can't make any gains. mass.
In June of 2018, 4 years later, yet again, we see a decrease in overall muscle and body mass, making it very clear not one of these very popular vegan bodybuilders are capable of putting on muscle mass.
So again, Frank just keeps doing the same thing. I guess he thinks this is a clever tactic and no one will find out about it. So the first clip of Brian, it's indoors with really harsh overhead lighting that's high in contrast, so it really shows off Brian's muscles. But then the second clip of Brian, it's outdoors with an overcast sky, neutral, even lighting, low in contrast, so doesn't show off his physique as well. And by the way, this clip is a year old, so Frank couldn't even find a recent clip of Brian that's unflattering. He had to go a year back to find an unflattering video. And if you take a recent image or video of Brian, you'll see that he's bigger than ever. He's put on a ton of muscle mass. He's way bigger and stronger than he's ever been. So Frank, you're lying. Out of all of us, you're the only one who hasn't put on any muscle mass. You're the one who hasn't made any progress. You've never been muscular ever in your life, even when you were competing in bodybuilding. So it's funny how you say vegan bodybuilding, oh, it's a sham, but yeah, as a carnivore, you literally cannot make any progress. You can't make any gains. Just going to the gym, just eating a little more food so you can pack on muscle makes you violently ill. So yeah, which diet's better, huh, Frank? Which diet's better for gains?
The body cannot build muscle and recover on a vegan diet.
All right, Frank, well, I have two challenges for you. First challenge is, how about we have an arm wrestling match? Since vegans can't build any muscle, you should be able to, beat me. I have, these weak, skinny arms. They haven't even grown at all. So, yeah, let's have an arm wrestle if vegans can't build any muscle. I'm sure you'd win. And secondly, how about we have a debate? The debate proposition being your claim that vegans cannot build muscle. I'd love to see you provide scientific evidence that hypertrophy of muscle tissue is impossible if you are eating a plant-based diet. Of course, you know that is a ridiculous anti-scientific claim. You have no evidence to back that up, so you're going to decline the debate offer because you know you're wrong. You know you're a liar. I don't know how your audience hasn't figured out that you are a lying joke, but hey, hopefully they come across this video and some of them wake up to reality that you are a skinny, jealous twerp that tries to make up for your insecurities by making up lies against vegans. So with all that said, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, maybe consider supporting me on Patreon or through my website. I have some funding perks you may find interesting. If you're looking for clothing, then check out the Vegan Gain store. And if you're looking for online coaching, then check out Quality Gains. He offers customized meal and training programs. And as always, keep making those vegan gains that Frank can't make.
What a relief! When will this poisonous product cease? This is another public service announcement. You can believe it or you can doubt it. Let us begin now with the cow. The way it gets to your plate and how.